Life on Earth is exceedingly complex, with close to 9 million species that have been discovered by we humans. It's not hard to marvel at the scope of life on Earth without wondering where did it all come from, and how do we have so many unique species? Plants, animals, and even bacteria that seamlessly fill every niche of the environment, big or small, across the entire planet. How do they have such specific adaptations? This is one of the questions that's plagued biologists prior to the late 19th century for some time, and among them, Charles Darwin and Alfred Wallace. Both Darwin and Wallace were accomplished biologists and naturalists in their times, and they became keenly interested in the geographical distribution of wildlife over the course of their careers. Both of their careers took them across the globe, where they observed many varying natural environments, and among them, similar species separated by various landforms that are seemingly adapted to fit their environments almost perfectly, with the notable example being the numerous different finches noted by Darwin in the Galapagos Isles. While the distinctions between these varying species might have been obvious, exactly how they came to be different remained unclear. Other prominent contemporary naturalists, such as Jean-Baptiste Lamarck, the proponent of the transmutation theory of evolution, where animals' offspring could spontaneously transmute and gain an adaptation based on that animal's life history, provided theories that did not satisfy the curiosity of Wallace and Darwin. Answers like these satisfied the how of the problem, but didn't explain the why. Darwin and Wallace both wrote in their respective autobiographies about the influence that they drew from Thomas Robert Malthus's essay on human population, with Darwin noting that, "In 1838 it at once struck me that under these circumstances favourable variations would tend to be preserved, and unfavourable ones would be destroyed." And similarly, with Wallace reflecting, "Why do some live and some die? The answer was, clearly, on the whole, the best fitted live, and considering the amount of individual variation that my experience as a collector has shown me to exist, then it followed that all changes necessary for the adaptation of the species to changing conditions would be brought about in this way." Astonishingly enough, this led both Wallace and Darwin to both independently arrive at very similar explanations for how species evolved to adapt to their environment, a process that Darwin termed natural selection, otherwise known as survival of the fittest. Simply put, offspring can be born with genetics that make them slightly differ from their parents in various ways, and the organisms that have the best, most advantageous adaptations will live, while the poor adaptations will die off. This process can change the genetics of a population over time, and can even cause two populations of the same species to eventually become two different species altogether. Darwin, in a joint publication with Wallace, published a book called On the Origin of Species, which detailed the theories of natural selection that were put forward by the two. Although it was contentious at the time, within 20 years the theory was largely regarded as fact within the scientific community, and to this day it cements both Darwin and Wallace as some of the most influential figures in human history, even if Darwin usually gets most of the credit.